It's done a lot of things. It's given me my time freedom back. So now I'm at my dream 3 days a week, which I appreciate. She's a good dentist, so I don't have to worry about the dentistry that she's doing. It's not been that easy, really. I've had to learn a lot.
Julie, thank you so much for hopping on a call. I'm
Oh,
really excited about it. This is one of my favorite things I get to do, which is talk to some of our previous clients or current clients that have gone through an experience working with us here at Dentist Partner Pros. And I can't thank you enough for finding the time, even while you're enjoying your weekend at the lake house. So thanks for hopping on. Why don't you just quickly introduce yourself, where you practice, all that stuff?
all right. I'm Dr. Julie Babcock. I'm a holistic dentist in the Kansas City area in Overland Park. And I've had my own private practice there for 20 years. Started it from scratch 20 years ago, so it's going well. I got busy, and that's why I needed some help from DPP.
Yeah, yeah. And so tell me, I mean, we you've had Lila on board now for this year, so about 8, 9 months.
Yes.
And I'd love to get to that in a minute, but let's roll the clock back before we even met and tell me kind of what was your state of mind and what was going on in your practice and in your life that was causing you want to try to like, okay, I think I need to find someone and I really want to find the right fit. Why don't you just take us back and what that was
Okay.
like?
Yeah, sure. I had a lot of things going on. One, I was just too busy. I was booking out new patients, I think 7 months out. It was like crazy,
Crazy.
and I could feel the weight of that on me. And so I had that going on, and I was wanting to work less. I want to be here more, and I wanted to work 3 days instead of four. And I knew I couldn't do that without some help. And
Yep.
I also was wanting to talk about a long-term transition plan. So I wanted to find somebody to come in and buy into my philosophy of holistic dentistry and then eventually buy and then go out. Because I know you can't decide you want to retire and then retire next month.
Yeah.
I
Just,
figure
all
it's
right,
going to
I'll
be
walk out.
5 to 10 year process. So I had a lot going on, a lot to think about at that time. And I had hired the wrong person before a couple of years earlier, and it was a very stressful, very expensive mistake. And I didn't want to repeat that one again. There's no way you guys would have let me hire this person ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's funny. So, okay, so you were feeling both. I mean, obviously your practice was slammed, booked out 7 months, and then on top of that, emotionally, obviously starting to feel a little bit more burnt out as far as wanting to slow down, cut back days, and as a result, it's like, okay, what do we do? Do I just do that and take the loss, or do I find the right fit to help me start to kind of sure up my future? I think
Right.
is what you were saying.
Right. And,
Awesome.
and part of mine too is finding the right fit is a little bit different in my practice because it's a very holistic practice. We think a little bit differently. And I'm not looking for a doc in a box. I needed somebody with very specific communication skills and just an open mind to think the way that we do. And honestly, most dentists are not open to that. So we needed to get all that weeded out before we wasted any of my time.
Yeah, yeah. And you were already slammed. So the thought process of like trying to recruit and go and find and vet this person. I remember that first conversation you had. You're like, there's no way I can make the right decision with how close this is to me. I remember you talking about how you were afraid that you would make the wrong decision if you were the one to go and just totally do it on your own.
Sure, I make more emotional decisions and I like everybody.
Yeah.
And I, but I needed a much more objective view to
Yeah.
get that out of the way.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So we talked, you heard about us from another doctor and we got on the phone. What were you apprehensive about as far as was there anything that was holding you back or you were unsure or doubting before we jumped in
Not
and got
really.
started?
Not really. I really trust the person that referred me to you guys. That so I didn't have a lot going on there. The money was a little bit more than I expected it to be, but I didn't. I knew I needed the help. I had already made the mistake in the beginning, and I knew, and I know myself well. And one thing I've learned over the last 20 years is to hire people to help you that do what they do well. And so I didn't have a lot of apprehension going in.
Okay,
And you guys
cool.
made the promise to me that if it didn't work within a year, that you'd start over.
Yeah,
So I like the idea that you guys you had some skin in the game.
yeah,
So
for
I'm
sure.
super happy with that idea.
Love it. Cool. So we got started and we kind of have 3, 4 main phases as we work with you, right? The first phase was getting to know you, your team, and creating that ideal avatar, and then obviously all the recruiting and vetting. But tell me, what was that experience like from your perspective, having us come and kind of work with us through the process?
Yeah, well, I enjoyed the phone calls beforehand. I felt like you guys already had a good idea of what I was doing. But then when you actually flew out yourself, you met me, you met all of my staff, interviewed all of them privately, saw the facility, and then looked at all the numbers to make sure that I was actually ready for an associate, because I think that can get people into trouble as well. So after that process, I was really confident that you guys had everything nailed down, ready to go to find the right person. We had defined this person, the avatar, and we knew what we were looking for.
Yeah, I find that ideal avatar, that is such a moment of clarity
Yeah,
of not just, hey, we're not just, it kind of puts on pen to paper what we're already thinking of, like, I want to find someone that has these communication styles and things like that. But for that ideal avatar was super pivotal in finding the right fit for you.
sure. Yeah, and knowing what the deal breakers were.
Yeah.
And from what you tell me, I think you guys interviewed maybe 10 or 11 people that you're like, oh no, bad match, bad match, bad match. And I
Yeah.
appreciate that.
Yep, yeah, we took care of all that for you, so you could just keep focusing on your patients and your lake. So, so what was there any point? Well, I guess let me ask you this: is there anything else throughout the experience that you particularly enjoyed or found helpful? The like throughout the entire experience working with us, leading up to the point where we obviously hired someone with you.
Um, yeah, I've let's see, let me think about that one. If, just repeat that question one more time.
Yeah, you're totally fine. So just walk me through the rest of the experience, like what it was like working with us, knowing that we were doing the work and you were focusing on your
Right, right,
patients.
right, right. Yeah, I
Yeah,
appreciated that you guys were doing all the interview beforehand. And the person I ended up hiring actually told me she was a bit frustrated because there were so many interviews with you guys before she even got to me. But she
yeah,
started to understand that that meant that I was really, really serious about this, and I wanted a long-term fit, and this wasn't going to be a just a in it. I don't have a rotating door of associates coming in and out, that I was serious. Once she realized that, she had a lot of respect for the process and
yeah,
understood. Yeah.
yeah. No, I love that. So come now, we obviously found someone. Dr. Lila is awesome. We like her so much. She's doing great things in the practice. Tell
She
me,
is.
what's life like now, and how has bringing on someone that you feel is like the right fit, how has that impacted you, your peace of mind, all those things?
It's done a lot of things. It's given me my time freedom back. So now I'm at my dream 3 days a week, which I appreciate. She's a good dentist, so I don't have to worry about the dentistry that she's doing. It's not been that easy, really. I've had to learn a
No?
lot of things about myself. Um, I am a little bit more of a control freak than I thought I was. And I had to learn how to let some of that go. But these patients are my family, and just to let them go has been tough. So we've had a few conversations with you guys as far as the marriage counseling side that have been extremely helpful, is to get us on the same page. I'm not the greatest communicator when it comes to hard conversations, but you guys have forced the issue with us, and we've gotten some stuff up and out, and we've worked it out, and we're doing really, really well.
Yeah, yeah. It's so interesting because even though I think Lilith was like a 90+% match on that ideal avatar. So she's a right fit. But even when you bring in that person, it's new dynamics, it's all those things, and you still have to learn to
It
talk to
shakes
each other.
you do, and yeah, and it's shaken up some stuff too. Even it's brought things up in the practice. I've been so busy the last years. I haven't had to worry about marketing. I've got more patients coming in than I can handle. Now that there's two of us, it's like, oh wow, there's things that are coming up that I didn't even realize were there. And so I have these panicky moments, like her schedule's not full. But I was on the phone with Bob, and we started digging in and figuring out why. And now we're starting to work on that. So it's some things are bubbling up that I didn't realize were there. So
Yeah.
it's not easy to do. It's probably a little bit harder than I thought, but definitely a process that I need. And I'm glad I'm not doing it alone.
Yeah. But it's like you said, it's given you a lot of time back. You've cut down to 3 days. I know you were able to take a trip out of the country for a few weeks. And normally in the past, when you had done that, offices closed. And that's an expensive
3
trip.
weeks later, very, very, very expensive for sure. So yeah, so I've got that kind of freedom. I've got 4-day weeks now every week, and I love the freedom. And best part is I'm actually making more money now than I was working 4 days a week.
There you go. There you go. Well, that's awesome. Julie, we're super happy for you, super excited for you guys for what the future has in store. So let me just ask you this final question. If somebody is considering hiring an associate and potentially working with us here at DPP, what would you tell them?
I would tell them to go for it if you're serious about the process. If you're okay with associates coming in and out, it doesn't really matter that much. It may not need to do it, but if you're serious about it, you want it to work. And if you know yourself, like, or I know myself, I know I need that help. And I've said over the years that some of the best money I've ever spent on CE was not dental related. It was
Yeah.
working with people who could help me with my practice on the business side, whether it was Mike Schuster or somebody like that. Those were really, really pivotal moments for me. And I wouldn't take any of that money back if I had to give back the knowledge or the help.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I hope somebody finds this conversation helpful, and
I hope
we
so.
wish you guys the best for sure.
Thanks. Yeah. And if you have other people that want to talk to me, I'm happy to do it.